Hello, everyone. Welcome to Welcome to episode 53 of the Gilded City to the Lost Kingdom. We are back. We're excited to be here.
Tripping over our words to be
here. And if you're excited to be here with us, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below and follow us on social media at RollerSkillDND on the social media platforms listed in the description below. But with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and dive on into tonight's episode. Content warning. Ravenloft as a setting can feature disturbing themes and ideas, and while it is never going to be our intention to upset anyone, it is worth noting. Specific tags can be found in the description of this episode. Last time, the party journeyed into the sewers beneath Oikos in an attempt to discover a long-lost library. They eventually reached an abandoned area that seems to have once bustled with activity. Magical runoff in the sewer waters emerged and attacked the party. After successfully fighting off the arcane oozes, the party continued through a hole in the wall and found themselves faced with other monsters, but these ones actually intelligent enough to have a coherent thought. After a tense standoff where Artemis revealed that he worked for the Silver Flame, and attempted to intimidate the monsters, the leader of the monsters chuckled and said that perhaps Ariadne would be interested in meeting them. So that is where we left off. As we pick back up, you all are on a raft that is drifting through this underground river. You see dim lights sort of twinkling up out of the water from the arcane pollution in it. At the back of this large raft is the monster that you had just met. And he seems to be steering the boat along through this river. Eventually, you arrive at your destination. Wedged in the rocky cavern wall before you is the front facade of a building. And it really is like, it's kind of literally wedged in there, like the rock clears away. You can just see it kind of a triangular cutout of the front of this building just wedged in the bedrock here. The facade is, stone, different stone than the walls here. The stone seems to be a lighter color as best as you can tell from the dim lighting here. And you see cracked windows in this front wall, and a little bit of dim light filters out through the windows as well. The monster steers the raft you're all on to a stop at a ramshackle dock that has been erected at the base of a set of front steps leading up to the front doors. And in your heads, as this monster has been communicating telepathically with you all this whole time, you hear him say, "We have arrived. You should go in. Ariadne is expecting you now. She's very interested in meeting you, Mr. boisterous silver flame.
Thank you for the ride. How much further? Just inside?
Yes, just right in through the doors there.
Anything else for us to expect? Other company, people to explain ourselves to, or?
No, no, Ariadne is expecting you. She will greet you.
Well,
Okay.
pleasant tidings.
Thanks.
Farewell could have been my
Do we tip him? Or
No.
it's-
Wait, do
Trying
we
to-
know his name?
Can I cast a spell on Artemis?
Sure.
As long as you're willing, I would like to cast Death Ward, which should last for the next 8 hours.
Thanks. I think.
Um,
No, that has passed. Because Bowmin cast that on me.
Oh yeah, that was yesterday.
But that's passed.
yeah, but I will do that now.
Cute.
Great.
Double death ward.
Double death. I gain an extra life.
Did
If only.
Do we know his name?
The monster that took you here, you do not.
What's your name?
He cocks his head and says,
Toby.
Toby.
I am Zagakag.
Zagakag?
Correct.
Screw that.
I thought he already left. Like, I thought he had walked away a little bit. Sorry, I'm screaming.
Well, you just got off the boat. Like, he's still
Oh.
at the dock.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know your name in case we need it.
Well, should we
Do you have any kids?
okay.
Why are you wanting to know?
We do not reproduce in that way.
Slay. Okay, thanks.
Bowman's gonna channel his older generation and just go, don't you feel like you're just not that's not fulfilling enough? You're not gonna there's something missing in your life?
Zagakag cocks his
Grab
head
Bowman
to the
and tug him along.
cocks his head to the side, and it's like, are you interested in seeing how new demons are created?
I don't really think we have time for this.
Oh my god, you don't have to show us that. That's like a
No.
private thing.
Yeah, no, okay. Somebody go in the door, please now.
Bowmin, you're blushing.
No one's asked that in a while to show me that I don't want to know.
I'm pretty sure I asked you that like a month ago or something.
You can't take your advancements seriously anymore.
That's true. Anyway, this could be life or death.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to do before we? Anyone need things? We all good? We buffed up? We big damn heroes?
We're all good on health, right?
Good enough.
Yeah, I might pop the heal for myself, just a little healing word.
You know what? I will give myself the remaining hit points I'm lacking.
That's better.
Yeah, I'm
Ye-
gonna do a cure wounds for myself too. Just
Great.
I feel like I should do. Maybe I'll do some fancy armor. Yeah, I will armor Voikos at 3rd level, just for myself, or 15 temporary hit points.
How's
Alright.
Nyx looking?
I'm pretty much fine. If I
Okay.
need anything else. take care of it.
I am full health.
All right. So having made your pre-injury preparations with your new friend just watching you all cast spells on yourselves, you all
He didn't have to watch us. Christ.
The fact that he seemed okay the entire time us doing it makes me a little bit worried that this is going to be pretty bad.
you all make your way up these crumbling stone steps to ancient front doors, made of thick wood,
Nice.
and with metal, handles. As you push them open and enter the library, you see a vast room. As you sort of step within, you see detritus sort of littering the floor near you, wood boards and bits of stone and crumpled curtains and curtain rods on the floor near here. The room is lit, but very dimly by candles. You see to your left and right as you enter, these shelves are just loaded with burning candles. And directly in front of you is a fireplace in this sort of entryway to the library. There's a fireplace. The fireplace is not lit, but on either side of the fireplace are elaborate candelabras holding filling this area with a little bit of light as well. You can also see, sort of looking up towards the dark ceiling in the far, far, far back of the room. You can't really see anything else, but you do see two chandeliers in the far back of the room with lit candles. You don't know if there are other chandeliers up there that don't have lit candles, or if the other chandeliers are gone. You would think there would have been other chandeliers at some point, but you're not sure. Also, right in this entry area, you see there's sort of this wall in front of you with two doors clearly leading deeper into the library, but they're not like floor to ceiling walls. They go about halfway up, and you do see a balcony and stairs to reach the balcony in this entry area that rings the room and disappears into the darkness, not lit well enough for you to make out in these circumstances. And of course, you do see bookcases. Right in this entry area, there's only a couple of bookcases to see tucked in alcoves on either side of the doorways which flank this fireplace. And you can just make out at the top of this balcony some bookcases up there as well. You would imagine there are probably more bookcases the deeper you go into this space. As you enter, your footsteps are, loudly echoing in this space. And you can see also, I forgot to mention, but there are also windows off to the left and right, but they look out to pitch dark. Stone, you would assume, based off of what this library looked like when you pulled up, those windows would be looking out into solid stone.
As we walk into this, can I do divine sense?
Absolutely.
Do I get anything?
What's the radius on that?
60 feet.
60 feet. You do get a ping. From it pings as a fiend.
Okay.
As your footsteps echo in this room, you hear a voice echoing from the darkness. So, you're the visitors come to see me. Someone wielding the power of the silver flame.
A fraction of the power? To whom is it that we speak?
You see by the fireplace. The fireplace is built into this stone wall that goes kind of halfway up. And you don't know how the chimney system for that worked, but stone wall goes about halfway up, and coming over the wall, you see first the head and shoulders of a woman, with really scraggly red hair and a like tattered black shirt or part of a dress or top part of a dress. Hard to really make out. But you also hear the sound of something scraping on the stone. And as she emerges further, you see she has 6 arms. And as you see her waist appear, from her waist sprouts and in the enormous tail end of a snake. She slithers down the wall around the fireplace. And now that you can have a closer look at her, you see her eyes are reptilian, and you see like a faint scaly pattern on her neck, and she's very, very pale. And she looks at all of you and says, "You have the pleasure of being in the presence of Ariadne Brightshield."
Bowman's gonna bow. Just because powerful lady in front.
I'm going to try to give Nyx guidance, and if I can really quietly whisper to her, like, we need to find your thing, and there's a lot of fire in this library.
Come on. Picking up what you're putting down. Do I see the last piece?
Make a perception check.
Whoa. Um, 22.
22. You do not see it in the immediate vicinity. You have to go deeper to find it. Now, I have introduced myself to you. Who, may I ask, intrigued my compatriot so much that he brought you here before me?
I'll take one step forward. We are an adventuring group known as In Tandem. We've been searching for Oikos for some time. My name is Artemis Brightshield.
You see sort of a strange look pass over her face. It's hard to tell immediately what the look is. You can make an insight check if you'd like.
Can anyone make an insight check?
Anybody who wants to.
Inside that snake girl. Inside. 21.
21.
28.
28.
14.
14. I'll say Artemis and Elina, I think the two of you get the sense that this look on her face is almost sadness for a second. All right, Shield, you say. long lost relative.
I
And
think so.
in what way are we related?
Well, my elder brother is currently, where do we put this? The Golden Flame is a real big fan of him. Well, of using him right now. I don't think he's a real big fan of me, but we haven't really had time to talk yet. Kind of jumped the gun and started hurting people right and left before we could really get to know one another. But I'm been looking for this library for some time. Are you its keeper? Its librarian?
I suppose you could say that I am. I came here a long time ago. I don't know how long ago it was anymore. Keeping track of time down here is difficult. The Golden Flame. Do you intend to ally with him? Like your brother, you said?
I intend to help people who look like they need some help. That's my intention. If the Golden Flame were to be an incredibly kind and generous entity, I'd consider aligning myself. But I will say, so far, I'm not a big fan of what I've seen. A lot of people seem to be getting hurt. Mostly Oikos, from what I can tell.
You're not wrong. The vermin of the city bring me secrets and tell me what's been going on the surface. The Golden Flame has done little more than try to help himself. So no, I do not think you will find that he is all that interested in helping the people of Oikos. But let me ask you something, Artemis. Do you think the Silver Flame is interested in the well-being of the people of Oikos? Do you think it genuinely is?
I don't know. But what I do know is that the flame has given me a little extra help, and I intend to help people. If that's what the flame is going to do, so be it. I've seen gods get involved. We've had gods just come save our skins before. But I think they only did it because we had people with us that respected them, trusted them. I don't pretend to understand everything a divine being is going to want, say, do, be. I've learned from these people around me to just do my best.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Persuasion is 31.
Ariadne lets out a deep breath. You sound just like Jason.
Was that your brother? Do I remember that correctly?
Yes, he was. He had the moral courage to stand up to my father's increasing depravity from the start, and I didn't try to stand up until it was too late. And now, look,
Is this... Forgive me, have you always been this way? You just seem so different from myself.
you're asking if I've always been a snake woman with 6 arms? No. I was human once. As near as I can tell, I've been transformed into a type of demon called a Merilith. Make another persuasion check for me. She's trying to like gauge you right now, just see what you're kind of looking for and
Yeah,
how pure your
26.
intentions are.
26. I rolled the wrong die. It wasn't my best.
No, but it's good. Quite good. After Jason, your forefather, left on his pilgrimage, our father, now the Golden Flame, got worse and worse. And he was being driven the whole time by that sniveling magical advisor of his, Minos. I had known that what my father was trying to do was wrong for a long time, but you must understand I was chronically ill, and the Silver Flame had never brought me any relief, but Minos had, and I thought, well, how could that be a bad thing? And there probably are paths to relief that are good, but Minos was not that. And as I saw my father descend deeper into madness, I came to that realization. So I did some research. I've always been bookish. And I wanted to see if Minos was who he said he was, a wizard from the city of Neverwinter. Well, as far as I could learn, no one in Neverwinter had ever heard of Minos. I don't know who he really was. I went to go tell my father, but Minos stopped me. And he turned me into this. And I fled the castle and fled into the sewers beneath the city. And I learned that the rats and the mice and the spiders and the snakes and the other vermin listened to me. And soon, other creatures started showing up, listening to me. And so I have worked down here in the shadows ever since, trying to learn everything I can about Oikos, about the Silver Flame, about my father. and about everyone in the city. I mean, literally got spies everywhere.
Hmm.
Do you notice the spider in the corner of the room? No, but it notices you, and eventually, its whispers come back to me.
Build a very impressive network then. There are some things that our group is looking for, hoping to learn down here. One of them, I'm going to gesture towards that fireplace. I believe there's something about this fireplace. Something in particular, I'm not certain, but I think that needs to be lit.
You speak of the silver flame hearth. This is modeled after it, but it is not the original. That is in the basement beneath the cathedral.
Ah.
But I haven't seen fit to end your visitation yet. But you're now asking for help. I will be honest with you, nephew. I do not trust the silver flame. I have never trusted the silver flame. As far as I'm concerned, the silver flame let my mother die a needless death and let me suffer in sickness for years.
Of course.
Tell me why I should help you, and more importantly, because I do not think you would have found this place on your own. Tell me why I should trust the Silver Flame fundamentalists.
Well, I don't know. I don't completely trust them. I just met them. They saved some of their own from getting killed in ritualistic public execution. I haven't seen them do anything that's harmful, particularly harmful yet, though I'm certain they could very easily get out of control. I don't, to be clear, I'm not asking you to trust any deity. I'm asking for help as someone that wants to turn this place around from the shithole it's heading towards. You're not helping the Silver Flame, you're helping me. He's not in control of me. I get to do what I fucking want.
Make another persuasion check.
And if I may interject here, I don't think any of us really trust the Silver Flame either. Personally, I don't. We're just doing this because it's right. Objectively right. Annoyingly right.
I'm here to save my brother. And he's gotten caught up in this shitstorm. And we, as we've been gone our travels, we see people that need help. And sometimes we intervene and we make things worse. But usually we make things better. So that's what we're trying to do here. I'm going to roll my dice now.
Yeah, go for it. You can roll with advantage because Bowmin interjected.
Thanks, Bowmin. Well, thanks for your nat 20. 36.
Incredible.
Holy
Goddamn.
She's bowing down to you now. She is converted to the silver flame.
I grow 12 arms.
You really are so much like Jason. Her gaze turns to you, Elina. She looks at you for a moment and says, "Tell me, you worship what's the Raven Queen based on the amulet there that you carry?"
Yes.
Raven Queen, goddess of fate and death. What do you think of all of this? And more importantly, what do you think she thinks of all of this?
I won't pretend to understand the mind of a god or goddess. But I think that Artemis has his heart in the right place. He is looking to help his family and, more importantly, his home. I'm sure you're aware it isn't going super well, as the entire city is, or I guess land, is unknown to the rest of the what's the word I'm looking for? Like universes or domains.
Multiverse, yeah, whatever you
Yeah.
want to say, whatever term you want to use.
Which must be pretty scary. That no, he's just trying to help, and think that's a noble endeavor.
I thank you for your insight, cleric. Her gaze turns back to you, Artemis. One final question, nephew, then. Let's say you succeed. You save your brother, and you depose my mad tyrant of a father. What would be your intentions then? If you restore the silver flame to the hearth beneath the cathedral, you, well, will wield a great deal of power over Oikos itself. That may allow you multiple options on how to proceed. What, in your opinion, would be the ideal outcome for this city and the people who live in it?
A chance to live, not looking over their shoulder. To feel as though someone is watching for them. Or someone's are looking out for them. There seems to be, sometimes there are governments or corporations, things put into place that are to be for everyone's well-being. After a while, it seems that they get off course. So I don't know yet. I haven't crossed that bridge. But as long as people aren't suffering, as long as there's genuine laughter, happiness, wherever the city ends up. Maybe it goes back to where it was. Maybe it goes somewhere else. I don't pretend to understand how magic works. That's why I surround myself with people that are a lot smarter than me. Or a lot stronger.
Very well. Thank you for answering my questions. You may peruse the library, and you may feel free to ask me further questions if you have them. I will keep an eye on proceedings on the surface, and perhaps I might lend a hand. But there's still much for me to consider in that regard. Suffice it to say, you have impressed me thus far, nephew.
Well, thank you. No one shines like a Brightshield, as you know.
Okay. I see
we
you did get some of the family vanity.
I would just like dig around in my pockets and walk over to Nyx and I'm just gonna drop a record of like the phonograph copy of the Brightshield. Just like leave it on the table somewhere and kind of like, I don't know, like reach down, tap Nyx. My friend here is looking for a particular artifact that could potentially aid in getting Oikos out of Ravenloft after everything's cleaned up.
Yeah.
Nyx, do you know?
Hmm?
Do you know what it looks like? Can you describe it at all? We think it may be here.
I just kind of can sense when it's nearby.
But all of them look pretty similar.
Okay,
I mean, you
okay.
can pull out one of the ones that you have
All
there.
right. So I have I have one of them on my back, so I'll take that one out. The
It's-
dimensional loop.
Yeah, it's like a series of like clockwork components that are interlocking with each other.
It looks like this. It's supposedly in a lost library in a lost land, so that seems like here. Do you have anything like this?
Ah, yes, as a matter of fact, I believe I do.
Cool.
You may have it. I have not found any use for it. I will go retrieve it. In the meantime, feel free to explore and examine the library at your leisure. And don't worry too much about the other librarians. They leave you be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there like an organizational system of how everything is set up? What kind
Yeah.
of system are you guys using?
Because the
Library
last
card.
time we were in a library, we opened a book and it just started like reading to us. So we could stay away from that.
Yeah, do you have audiobooks here actually?
I'm going to be honest, I have things organized in a way that makes sense to me because I am the only person who's really read these books. I mean, the other librarians are fine, but they are not readers, I'll say. They just
they're
are things where I use the term librarian.
They're like they put the books away.
Yes,
They're pages, so you have pages.
if that's what that's called.
That is the technical term.
I'm going to go get your thing. You all seem like you're very snarky about libraries in particular.
I'm not. Listen. I have so much respect for you. You don't even know. Okay, I'm just want to know what the layout was. But now that I know that the layout is your business and not ours, that's totally fine. We'll browse. That's all
If
right.
I
I'll-
could explain it to you, I would, but it's
Fair.
centuries of me just putting things where it makes sense for me.
Slay Queen. Love.
Very well. I'm going to go get your friend's magical artifact. And she slithers back over
Thank
the
you.
wall and disappears.
As soon as she
Wow.
leaves, I'm gonna say, terrible way to organize a library. Are you kidding? Whatever you feel like, whatever makes sense to you.
I mean, if no
Where
one
is
else
the
is doing
where is the patron-centric browsing?
Well, it seems like
I think
there
she's
aren't
the only patron.
patrons.
I don't think there's patrons.
I
Alright.
understand that, but so this is an archive, really. Is what-
Yeah.
Not a
I
library.
think it's a personal
Perhaps.
library, not a public library.
I will say at this point, one of the doors opens and out stomps one of the librarians that she mentioned, which is this hulking, like 10-foot tall, like boar looking dude. And he's like snorts at all of you. He's carrying a stack of scrolls and he goes and puts them in the bookshelf next to the door and then disappears again.
I'm gonna go look at them.
Yeah.
And
what
also, like, where are they getting these materials that they're shelving? If there's no one in the library, how are they shelving and putting things away? Are they just continuously getting new stock? Because
I
usually you
feel
feel
like
like what
she's-
people have checked out.
I feel like the
been-
organizational system is changed like every few years, depending on
I
what
just
she's
really
feeling.
can't wrap my head around this. Sorry, guys.
She
Okay,
did
so
she
picture
did
you move
also
into a new
s-
house. Picture you move into a new house and then you reorganize your, I don't know, your dining room. And then
Yeah.
after a couple of years, you're like, man, this could use a new paint job. I'm gonna move things around and paint the
Mhm.
walls. And then you think, oh, my teacups didn't go here because that was a silly move. I'm gonna put my teacups over here and my fine china in this cabinet and my serving forks over here and my serving dishes there.
Mhm.
You know, like things just move around after a while. Let's spice things up. Little variety.
How many things do you have?
Yeah, what's a serving dish?
Ask Danny next time we're in the mansion.
Okay.
Is that what you call the large rectangular plates?
Perhaps.
I thought they were just big plates for big services for big wars.
For you, they can be big plates, Mr. Bowmin.
Okay, the library is open to you all. What are you?
A lost library with God knows what kind of hidden
With
knowledge.
absolutely no organizational system.
Okay, so actually I will just say she did mention to you that she spent the last few centuries doing like her own research. So probably the reason why the other librarians are moving stuff around is she doesn't put things back herself when she's done with it.
Mhm.
And so they put it back when she's done with it.
Mhm.
The worst kind of patron.
Can you imagine training those pages to shelve? Yeah, I just put stuff wherever I want. So figure that out. Where's the training there? I can't.
They are demons linked to her will, so
That's how you get good staff.
There. That's how you get good workers.
Can Bowman start looking for the thing that we're looking for?
yes. Okay. What is everybody wanting to do? What does everybody want to start looking into?
So what's the thing that we're trying the flame thing? What is it? What's it called?
So there's a, now that we're here, there's the there's a brazier in underneath the like golden flames. I don't know. Kingdom. Castle. That's what we've gotta get lit.
We need schematics.
Yeah, so we're looking for the blueprints to the city, to that place.
Yeah, you were Taryn specifically wanted you to find out how you might get into the Golden Flame District. Without
Bowman
busting down the front gates.
Can Bowman specifically be looking for schematics for the castle that is where we think the golden flame is.
Yeah, you can look for schematics of the castle.
And I'll help.
Okay.
I'm gonna look for like the sewer blueprints.
I would
Only
like to.
gonna-
Yeah, so Nick's looking in the sewer. Elina, what were you looking into?
I would like to look for like historical references of like what, like when, maybe like more biographical about maybe like the Brightshield family, specifically about what's the guy who's under the control of the Golden Flame right now? Apollo?
Apollo is ascending into.
Yeah, Apollo is the golden.
Okay. So him, his family, just like that era.
Yeah. Great. You're doing genealogical research. Nick's looking in sewers. Bowmin and Penny are looking for castle schematics.
But she mentioned that she used to be human and she was turned into the snake.
Yeah.
Snake. Would I know if that's a curse?
We'll call it an Arcana check. Not a particularly difficult one, but it's still an Arcana check here.
-1. I got a 9.
9. You're not sure. I mean, it sounds like a curse, right? It sounds like the type of thing a curse would do, but you don't really have all the information. You don't even know who this Minos guy is. You don't know how powerful he was. So you just don't know how he may have enacted this on her.
But I'll go. I know she's looking for the item for us, but I'll wait for her so I'm going to just ask her.
Yeah, you're gonna talk to her more. Yeah, sounds good. Artemis, what
Hey,
about you?
so how did this happen?
What's going on? Let's talk about you. God, what do you look for when you find the Library of Alexandra?
Great question.
Cooking recipes.
Yeah. The top 10 list.
Top 10 must do.
So I grew up on stories of talking about how Oikos was this battle prowess. The knights were fantastic. They had some huge code or something. Anything that I can learn about the tradition of these legendary knights.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting into the tradition of the lore and stories.
Yeah, great. So you're looking into stories of Oikos with a particular focus on the Knights of Oikos, and then maybe expanding out from there.
Yeah, focus on the knights and the general leadership.
Right.
I don't know, tactics.
Yeah, great. All right, well, with that then, you've all got your various research angles figured out. So, everybody's doing different research. Nyx, we'll start with you. I know you said
I already
you
rolled.
already rolled.
And I got a natural 20!
So with
That's
that's an investigation check, which gets you to
34.
34. Okay, and you're looking into like the sewers
Uh-huh.
right now. Okay. You are wandering through the library, and you very, very quickly find a map of the old sewers. You like, but it's really high up on a shelf, so you have to ask one of the like demons working here to help you get it down.
Excuse me, demon sir. Sir demon. Can you get that for me? No, the one next to it. That one.
And hands you this
Thank
like
you.
big rolled up map of the sewers. You take it over your table and you
No, it goes immediately on the ground.
okay, you roll it out on the ground and you use other things to like weigh down the corners. And
Good deal.
you're looking at this map.
Can you just stand there? Thank you.
You're looking at this map for a while and just trying to figure out like what the layout of the sewer system is and what sort of the best option is. And you do find like, you know, overlaying it with a map of sort of the above ground city streets. And this is a very old map. So one thing you notice is that the walls surrounding the bulk of the city hadn't been built yet, apparently. But the walls around what is now the Golden Flame District had already been built. Because that was the area where the royal family lived. And you see sort of on the top layer of the map, right, you've got the royal palace and the Silver Flame cathedral in this district. And overlaying it with the map, you do find where the sewers connect, essentially. And so you know exactly where you need to go. Now, the Silver Flame fundamentalists did tell you that they're pretty sure that any of those connections have been filled in. But now that you know where they are, definitely an option to create a new opening into that area. So there
I'm
you go.
gonna
You got
copy-
a path into the Golden Flame District.
I'm gonna copy the like map down into my notebook.
Great. Was there anything else you wanted to research? Because that one ended up being pretty quick.
Yes. I also want to look to see if there's any information on how to make a casing for all of my like gear things.
Yeah, that's a good option. Yeah, go ahead and make an investigation check.
Less good, but 24 because I'm proficient.
24. Yeah, you spend some time exploring the library, trying to find something about that might help you with the orrery. And as you're doing that, actually, you know, you find a section that seems to be about magical items and artifacts. You find a book about like the Sword of Oikos, and you find a book about, you know, magical weapons and armor and stuff that are known in Oikos. And you also find a bunch of books on like potions and potion making and all that stuff. You don't really find anything on the orrery. And I'll say this is around when coming by, Ariadne like comes by you and says, I have for you the artifact that you were looking for.
Oh, cool.
And you may add the Rotor of Return to your inventory. As you take the Rotor of Return, you feel yourself get like jolted out and brought before light. And we'll come back to that.
Okay.
But from Ariadne's point of view, you grab this thing, your like eyes rolled back into your head, and you conk down on the floor. And she looks down at you, and then she like slithers off to find somebody from the party to come check on Nyx.
Here.
I am looking for her.
So let's do you and her next. She comes and finds you, Jinarra, and she says, your friend the gnome just passed out when I gave her the artifact.
Oh, could you show me where she is?
Right this way. And she leads you to where Nyx is unconscious.
I'll
Stunning.
stay by Nyx. I'll put her in a more comfortable position if she's in a weird position.
Yeah.
Easy
What
enough.
happened right before she passed out?
Gave her the artifact you were looking for, and she passed out.
Okay. I will keep an eye on her, but I actually did have a question for you.
Of course.
You said that you used to be human. Do you know if it was a curse that changed you? I only ask because I do have the magic remove curse. And if that is something that would help you, I'd be happy to try to do that for you.
I appreciate the offer. I have tried to figure out what exactly it is that Minos did to me. As well, as far as I can tell, I think, well, I think that it was a true polymorph.
Okay.
Perhaps altered in some way. I do not know that remove curse would be sufficient, and I'm not even sure it was a true polymorph. That's just my best guess. To be honest with you, I think Minos was more than he appeared. I do not think he was merely a wizard. I mean, I couldn't find any record of him being from Neverwinter, but beyond that, he seemed really intent on my father following this path. And every story I've ever read of wizards, if they know a way to gain immortality, they're doing it to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards, that's almost their nature. They're ambitious and full of hubris. I don't know why a wizard would help my father attain godhood. If he knew how to do it, why would he not do it to himself? So, for that reason, I think Minos was more than just, for lack of a better word, some guy.
Well, I know Nyx already mentioned this, but we're trying to bring Oikos back. And if we do, we know some pretty powerful wizards who might be able to help you out.
I thank you, and at any rate, I don't think it's all that advisable to turn me back to human immediately anyway, if I am to be of any assistance to you.
Sure.
Also, I don't know if my librarians would immediately turn on me and, by extension, all of you, if I were to suddenly become human. I don't really understand why they listen to me. They just do.
Okay.
I don't know if that would stick around if I became human.
Well, the offer stands.
I appreciate it. You have a kind heart. I actually perhaps you could help me with something. I've been working on a very rare potion for a long time. I'm actually nearing completion of it, but I could use well, I know I have 6 hands, but I could use another pair of hands to finish it.
Sure.
Right? She leads you to kind of the very back of this area. You make sure that like Nyx is comfortable, or you can even bring Nyx with you if you want. And
I'll pick her up and I'll carry her with me.
Yeah, she brings you to the very, very back area where there's like an alcove kind of set off with like various sort of slanted up reading tables. And at the very back, on what seems like it used to be some kind of stone table, she's got like a cauldron sort of set up and all sorts of alchemy ingredients about, and she starts getting to work and starts giving you directions to like bring her stuff. And I'm gonna have you make some kind of a check for this. Let's call it a I'll give you a couple options here. How about that? Option number one would be a survival check to like find the ingredients she's talking about, to like know what she's talking about in terms of the different ingredients and stuff. I think option number 2 would just be like a flat intelligence check, just to like listen to the instructions well, which I figure you wouldn't want to do. And then I think the last option would be like a flat dexterity check to like make sure that you are nimbly grabbing things and getting them to her quickly without messing anything up.
Dexterity and survival are the same, so they're both +4s. Survival.
Okay, great. She's all. You're gonna roll luck.
I'll use a luck point because that was really, really terrible.
Great. Basically, she's gonna roll for finishing her potion, and if you get a good enough score on this, you'll give her advantage on that, basically.
All right. My first roll was a 7. My second roll was a 19.
Great. Well, that advantage, and thanks to that advantage, she got a natural 20. So we'll come back to this as well in a little bit, but I want to check in with the other lines of research here. Let's start with Bowmin and Penny. The two of you are looking for like palace blueprints or other blueprints and stuff of sort of what is now the Golden Flame district. So you can either both roll investigation, or one of you can roll investigation with advantage.
Penny, you probably have a better investigation than a 0.
I have +8. Give me a roll. Roll with advantage?
Yes.
If Bowman's looking for something specific, should that be his own separate role?
I mean, no, you can just tell Penny what specifically you're looking for. What are you specifically looking for?
Well, do we find the schematics?
Well, I don't know. Penny hasn't told me the number yet.
21.
21. You're going through sort of, you find these old architectural, like draft books almost that have like old sketches and drawings and stuff of the palace and the Silver Flame Cathedral, which is now repurposed as the Golden Flame Cathedral, and actually of this library itself as well. So yeah, you find all of these sort of architectural like drawings and layouts and stuff. What are you looking for specifically in?
Bowman, once we find it, Bowman's just looking around. Penny, if you could find possible weak points in the foundation, just in case we need a plan B.
Okay.
B means blowing it up.
Okay. natural 20.
Natural 20. You identify a few spots where you think if you had enough explosives, you could cause some serious damage to the entire structure. But you also identify a few points in the palace. You don't identify any such points of either kind for the cathedral. But you do get a layout of the cathedral, which I'll have to send you the maps of these places at a later time. But you do find maps. You have maps now of the palace and of the cathedral. For the palace, you find that there are a few points in the foundation that if you blew them up, you could cause some major damage to the palace as a whole. But you also find a couple points where if you were approaching from below, say from the sewers, you could blow yourself an entrance into the palace somewhere deeper within. So you've got a couple of good entry point options.
Oh, perfect. Bowmin find
Bowman's death is going to be the Urukai who blows up Helm's Deep.
Yeah, absolutely.
After Penny points these out, Bowmin just takes out like another piece of paper that's just like somewhere on like a desk. It just starts doing insane amounts of math that he's never done in front of anybody else in the party before. All right, if we put it here, we'll fall in this direction. We have to make sure that the wind's blowing this way. Sorry, Miss Presswell, this is kind of a thing for me.
So you're math smart, but people dumb.
Haven't we talked about this before?
I guess not.
Oh.
I'm just now putting the pieces together.
He's
I thought you
explosion
were
smart.
I thought you were ship smart, but you're ship smart and math smart.
Yeah, the ship came kind of later in life, but yeah, explosions have always been a passion of mine.
Interesting. Where do you think that stems from?
An immense amount of loneliness.
Huh.
Probably.
Okay. We can unpack that at a later
Yeah,
date.
when we get back.
Or
I've talked to Rose about it. It's fine.
okay, of course you have. All right, I'll just go over here because I found you these little things that you asked me for. Rose probably couldn't do that, but I'm sure she could because she's perfect.
No,
Are we allowed to take these maps out, or we have to keep them here? Do we know?
Ariadne didn't say you couldn't take them.
Okay, I'll try to take them, and if I'm gonna spend time looking them so I can try to memorize them.
Okay. Great. Elina was looking into genealogy stuff. So we'll go with Elina next. Elina, make an investigation check for me.
18.
18. You don't find anything on kind of the more recent being a relative term, obviously, leaders of Oikos, but you do find a sort of genealogical record of the family, of the royal family. And you find in sort of really interesting stuff at the beginning on the first king of Oikos. And I do want to actually call for Artemis's investigation check right now as well.
It was a 17.
17. Artemis has been looking into the Oikosian Knights as well, which are traditionally helmed by the heir to the throne, basically before they ascend to the throne. So they're the leader of them. But way back in the day, back in the days of Pericles Brightshield the First, he didn't have any children. He just led knights on his own, and he did not start as a king. And the two of you, I think, actually both kind of arrive at this same sort of home around the same time and learn this story together. Many, many centuries ago, there was a kingdom whose name is lost. But there was a realm in a world called Eberron. It is not the world that Artemis is from. And on Eberron, there was a continent called Corvair. And on the continent of Corvair, there was a small town. A calamity struck, the text sort of writes. One of the overlords broke free. A great hero named Myron, who claimed to worship a god called the Silver Flame, rose to fight the overlord. But in the overlord's rampage, it caused much destruction to the land, and a lot of it was focused on a kingdom called Thrain. But just outside of Thrain was a small town called Oikos. When the town was at the verge of being ravaged by the Overlord and its forces, one of the knights who was fighting alongside Myron broke away to help defend the townspeople, and that man was named Heracles Brightshield. During the fight, the barriers that keep Eberron safe from extraplanar entities were temporarily broken, and the people of Oikos were set adrift in the multiverse. They were left lost and scared deep in the abyss, the place that demons come from. But Heracles Brightshield, wielding the power of the Silver Flame, was able to safely lead his people through the abyss and deliver them to safety in Faerun on the world of Torah, where they would establish a new home, a new Oikos. And from there sprout all the great traditions of Oikos, of the kings of Oikos, of the Oikosian knights, of the Church of the Silver Flame, and it all comes back to Heracles Brightshield's heroic saving of the people of this small town on another world, in another realm. And Artemis, you remember back in Aslan Rex's library, you'd seen reference to the Silver Flame being a god of Eberron, not a god of Torah. And now you understand that the Silver Flame is basically an immigrant god. It's a god from a whole different world from the one that you know, that was brought there by people who were scattered far from their original home.
I guess that makes sense why it might not have the most power. I want to always get involved. I don't know.
But then, where did the golden flame come from? That be just a
Just someone trying to
someone in Toro?
mess up the balance, I guess.
Yes. Not from Eberron. Probably.
I'll let either of you make I'll let both of you make either a religion or arcana check for me.
Ooh.
Which I'll do religion for 24.
I'll do Arcana for 6.
For 6. Okay.
6?
Artemis, you
Found my weakness.
you don't know. You don't have any clue. Elina, you're thinking about this, right? Because the golden flame is Apollo Brightshield, is Artemis's ancestor, and he is attempting to become a true god, and he is very near to succeeding in that. And mortals have ascended to godhood before. He wouldn't be the first to do it, but there is something about this whole situation that is sticking to. Where did this idea come from? Where did Apollo get the thought to ascend to godhood? And based on what you know, on what Artemis has said, what Ariadne has said, seems like this idea had to have come from Minos. But who is this Minos? What was he interested in? What was he trying to do?
Is there any reference to anything that, like, Minos in the historical record that we were looking at?
There is not. There is nothing about this Minos in the record you were reading. And I think you come to the conclusion that you need to talk to Ariadne again and ask her some more questions. And I'll say you rolled pretty high. I'll say very specifically, you're going to want to ask her some questions about the exact circumstances of Oikos ending up in Ravenloft. Because
Okay.
that is still a piece of the puzzle y'all are missing right now. Is Apollo Brightshield was starting to act a little crazy, and then he proclaimed himself a god, even though he wasn't really one yet. He's still not really is one yet. And then Oikos was in Ravenloft. But there's a chunk that you're missing right now. It's that exact moment the mists rolled in.
Okay. Shall we return?
Yeah. Yeah, let's round everyone up. I think Nyx died in the corner or something.
Seems like Jinarra has a good handle on her.
Yeah. Mom's were first.
I'll say, as you all you've been researching for a couple hours now. As you all sort of convene,
Have I been passed out for a couple hours?
we'll get to you in a moment. Cool your horses. I'm saving the Lottie stuff for when we get through all the research stuff. As you all gather around the sort of cauldron area, Ariadne has just finished making this potion, and she starts filling vials, and it's a potion that's this like really light pinkish color, and it's like bubbling very slightly. And she holds it up and says, I had only ever come across rumors of these in some of the alchemy texts here. And it's taken me many, many years to figure out this formula, but I think I've done it. I present to you, and she holds up 6 stoppered vials of this potion. The potion of angelic slumber.
Oh.
This, if it works correctly, is a quite powerful potion. When you consume it, you will be momentarily rendered unconscious, but for a very short time. And when you awaken, you will be completely reinvigorated. And from a mechanic standpoint, potion of angelic slumber, which I totally stole from Baldur's Gate 3. The potion of angelic slumber, when you drink it, you are incapacitated for 1 minute, after which you gain the benefits of a long rest.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Jeez.
That is a 1 minute long rest in a vial. You each have 1 vial. So,
Right.
that is, you use it at a strategic point. I would just say that
We-
that would
We
What was
each
that?
have one.
you each have 1.
Well, thank you. This will be very useful.
I hope so. I
It-
would like to see my father deposed.
If you don't mind, I do have some questions I'd like
Of-
to ask.
Of course, yes.
First off, how did Oikos end up in Ravenloft?
It's a dark day. It was after I had absconded here to this place beneath the city. I had started to learn how to speak with the vermin. My father, without me there, without Jason there, the only person he had in his confidence was that snake, Minos. He was constantly telling my father that he knew what the next step was. My father, by that point, had become obsessed with this idea of ascending to godhood. And Minos, he told my father that he was very, very close, and that the next thing he needed to do was a mass sacrifice of people. And so he rounded them up, and at that point, the city revolted into full-scale rebellion. I could hear it from the sewers. I wasn't in the library yet, but I could hear sounds of the fighting in the city above me. No one, based on what I was able to learn from the rats and the spiders and such, the rebels stormed the palace as my father completed his ritualistic murders. And they were about to batter down the doors into the room, and he turned to Minos, who had been advising him on all of this. And the rats watching this, they say Minos had just disappeared. He was gone. He was nowhere to be seen. And then the rebels burst down the door and attacked my father, and then the mists rolled in. I have tried very hard to reconstruct the events of that night. It's one of the things I've spent so much time on. You have, for an entire for a new domain of dread to be created, the Dark Lord at its center, my father in this case, has to have committed an extremely heinous act, such as the murder of many innocents. If what Minos had been trying to get my father to do is make him a god. I don't know that my father's, if that act of killing all those innocents was truly part of the ascension to godhood, then one would assume my father would already be a god, but he's not. He's close, but he's not. So why did Minos have my father kill all those people?
Maybe he needed him out of the way for something.
Can I ask, when did you meet Minos? When did he come into the picture?
Years before we ended up in Ravenloft. He was my father's advisor for a number of years. I mean, my father didn't change overnight. He, at one point, was a relatively good ruler in a difficult time. I don't know, obviously, why Minos had my father do what he did. But, Artemis, you made a good point. Maybe he needed my father out of the way. But that would imply that he knew the mists would come in. I think Minos wanted Oikos in Ravenloft. Which is why I'd like to know who he was. I don't know if he's still alive.
This might be a random question. There's someone else that I don't know much about. They've been following us, following me. There's a figure called the Caller, an infernal, some sort of devil. He didn't want me to come here. He tried to kill me before I could get here, and we evaded him. We've only ran into him the once. Does that name mean anything to you? The Caller?
I have not come across that name myself, but
He said he has his own plans for Oikos. He knew the name. No one else we've ever come across knew the name outside of this actual city.
I think it would be a mighty large coincidence that both Minos and this Caller want Oikos in Ravenloft for some reason. I think you are perhaps... I don't know anything about this Caller, but I think that is quite the coincidence, to the point that I would say perhaps it's not a coincidence, perhaps they are connected somehow.
Yeah, well, we've only run into him the once, so I don't know much.
Very intriguing development indeed. What else do you know of this Caller? And before you can answer that question, we're going to cut to Nyx. Nyx, you are in a workshop, surrounded by tools and shelves and, materials and such. And at this sort of blazing furnace, you see this towering figure, the Lich Lottie, who appears to be hammering away at something, and she looks over her shoulder and sees you around and says, Nyx, can you give me a hand with the bellows here?
Yeah.
You go over, you start doing the bellows, and work with her for a little bit, and after a little while, she pulls out you don't even know, a strange device that looks kind of like a gun, but a weird gun, a freaky gun. She looks at it for a minute and she says, could use some improvements, but a good prototype. She sets it aside on a work table. So you found the last piece.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
we're almost ready to go home. Nearly.
Yes, and that is why I have brought you here. First, you'll need to construct the housing, which I've got. And she goes and like ruffles through a bunch of like papers on a very messy desk. I mean, this place is a mess. Ruffles through a whole huge stack of papers. Like she pulls out a sketch and hands it to you, and you see its instructions for putting together the housing.
Oh, cool.
She's like, you don't need any special materials. It's just important that it is constructed precisely like that, and it should then house the pieces. I should give you a warning. Once you finish constructing it, put all the pieces together, the orrery is going to immediately start tapping into the magic of the planes of existence. That's what it does. That's where its magic comes from. It comes from the various planes of the multiverse.
Okay.
And when you finish assembling it, it will almost certainly summon something from somewhere in the multiverse that is probably not going to be too happy to get dragged out of wherever it was. So you may have a slight monster problem to deal with after you finish assembling the orrery. So just a warning there. Also, because it taps into the vast power of the multiverse, it's an extremely powerful magical artifact. It will give you innumerable benefits, but there may be some drawbacks as well. When you first attuned the completed orrery, I'm not sure if it will be something that's like a bang that hurts you real quick, or if it'll be some longer, persistent problem that you're going to have to deal with. But the planes are insane and chaotic, and that's just something that comes along with it. In my opinion, the vast powers are going to outweigh any negative drawbacks you might have. But you might notice some slight side effects when you attune to it.
Great. Can't wait. How do I destroy it once we're done with it?
Well, actually, that's the next thing I wanted to talk to you about. I am not a seer per se. I can't see the future exactly, but I can glimpse into the threads of fate, if that makes any sense. I don't. This place. This is a realm of thought that I live in. Okay. I don't have time to explain it to you.
Okay.
The point is, I've glanced the threads of fate, and I actually think you need to hang on to that a little longer than I initially intended you to. It just might prove helpful. I've seen glimpses of fire in your future.
Oh, fuck. We already dealt with that.
And there are rumblings in the multiverse of a new great worm.
A what? A great worm?
Make an Arcana check.
Oh. Oh, it's okay. It's fine. 18.
You're not familiar with the term. Lottie says, we have a limited time to have this conversation. I'm sorry, you'll have to figure that part out on your own. But listen, when it's time, when your friend has finished the work that he needs to do, here. He's going to light a fireplace if everything goes well.
Okay.
When he does that, you're going to link the orrery to the fireplace. You will be able to do it magically. It just happen. And when you do that, the power of the orrery and the power of this fire can be combined to achieve an act of mass teleportation.
But I will still need the orrery after that.
Yes, you will. The mass teleportation part, this is the part I wanted to talk to you about. You and your friend will be able to decide what gets teleported, who gets teleported, where you get teleported to.
We can leave people here?
Oh shit.
You could bring all the people, you could bring the entire city itself.
But we could also leave people here.
You leave one motherfucker behind.
You could leave people in Ravenloft if you so desired. It will not be an immediate process, though. It takes time to conduct this ritual. And I'm sorry to say, you may face an interruption during the ritual.
Jesus.
So that's all I know. That's all the information I have. It's just glimpses of plucking the threads of fate, as it were. But that is what I have for you. You are the most worthy person to ever assemble the orrery, as far as I can tell. You seem a very kind-hearted soul. And I hope that the magic of the multiverse does not change that.
Me too.
But you have my blessing to proceed. And keep in mind, my soul is bound to the orrery. So if you do start using it for ill-gotten gains, I can take it away pretty easily. I can just force you to stop being attuned to it. So
You take it whenever you need it. Whenever you want it, take it. I feel like I got it over my head on this one.
you'll do great. Well, I think our time is up. I will see you, visionings. And you wake up.
Ah!
Oh, Nyx.
How long was I out for?
A while. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just talked to Lottie. She's changed a lot since the first time I talked to her.
Just chill.
She is a-okay with us using this thing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So I run down everything that Lottie told me.
Yeah, and you get you all get the sense, based on Nyx's story of what Lottie told her, that Lottie is chill with you keeping this thing because of what she has seen in the future.
Right.
Very
So I don't know what the Great Worm is. And I don't know what the fire means. I don't know if it seemed like she wasn't just talking about the Silver Flame Hearth fire. It seemed like she was talking about other fire.
Anybody who wants to can make an Arcana check.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, that'll go real well.
-1.
Octavia.
How does a cool 3 do?
3, great. That's exactly what you.
I can beat you.
I will do one too.
5.
Oh,
Natural
Three.
20?
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
23? Penny
Ooh.
Presswell, were you listening when Octavia was talking?
Penny.
Just staring in love.
Penny. You hear Nyx mention the term Great Worm, and you remember that after the fight with Fear Kindler, when you and Octavia were compiling the book version of your reports on everything that had been happening in Waterdeep as of late, you went to the library to do some background research on dragons for the part about future. And you didn't think anything of it initially when you were doing research. You know, it was just research. We're just looking at stuff. But now this memory of this research comes back to you, and you realize that there's a problem. You see, dragons are very tied to the material. There are legends that once all the worlds of the material plane were actually one vast world that got shattered and splintered. And most beings exist separately on their own worlds in the material plane. But dragons are different. Their natures are tied into the nature of the material plane itself. And on every world of the material plane, there is a version of every dragon. Every dragon exists across multiple worlds of the material plane, but most dragons don't realize that. But sometimes, particularly powerful dragons do learn that they are one incarnation of the same dragon across the many worlds of the material plane. And through gaining that knowledge, ascend to become great worms, tapping into the power of all of their different forms in every world of the material plane to attain nearly the power of a dragon god. Not as powerful as Bahamut or Tiamat, but certainly much more powerful than even the most ancient of ancient dragons.
Cool.
I share this with the group.
Oh, try
Um,
contacting my parents and so I can try warning them.
Yeah, roll your D100 for me.
We're just gonna do it in the app. 16.
That's still a success. Go ahead and what's the message?
How do I even word this?
Look up what a great worm is. It's coming.
Go to
Ask
Candle.
Octavia what a great worm is.
Great worm
Ha.
alert.
Hi. Fear Kindler is a great worm.
Maybe.
They're like, cool.
Probably.
Guys, that's a certified great
Yeah.
worm.
That is a great worm.
The kids are so silly with their slang these days.
Please wait for me. Don't die. We're still safe. Tell everyone love you.
After a moment, you get back. You'll look into this great worm situation. Love you. Good luck.
All right, it's okay. We'll figure it out.
Ariadne's just looks all you and says, "You all seem to have a lot on your plate."
Unfortunately.
It's all manageable. Like, you don't have to feel overwhelmed. You get used to it after a while. We all look after each other. You can still speak on our side.
Wait, we're not supposed to feel overwhelmed.
Let's just give Bowmin a look.
You were going to tell me about this caller before your friend woke up?
Oh, yeah. All right. In Infernal, they they presented themselves as Penny's mom for a long time.
Can I cast Detect Thoughts while this is happening?
Sure. What are you fishing for here?
I just want general surface level thoughts from Ariadne. Because now I'm kind of suspicious.
You're getting from the surface level thoughts that she's, first of all, very like, she doesn't even know how to process all of what just happened with Nyx. Like, she's just like, great worm, what the hell are these people in? What the hell is going on with these people? These guys are crazy. But then as she refocuses on the Minos situation, you do get this, or on the caller situation, excuse me, you do get this genuine sense of her like very, very much trying to piece together if the caller and Minos are connected in some way. She's genuinely just like intrigued and trying to find an answer.
Yeah, so he like presented himself as Penny's mom, who is dead. Sorry. And so she was like, "Oh, don't do anything. The souls are going to be eaten or destroyed if Artemis goes to Oikos, and I'll be destroyed forever." And then Penny, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Penny, but she was like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm really torn between my loyalty to Artemis, who I kind of have this weird crush on, but not really." And then
Lots of editorializing going on here.
so eventually that goes back and forth for a while, and then this guy got really upset and bored, and he like took Penny over, and then Penny like did this really brutal thing. She like stood over my bed while I was sleeping, and I am just like buck naked, and she just takes her gun and points it down, turns it sideways, and just unloads her entire clip into me. And so I look like Swiss cheese, right? But I'm still alive. And so then Penny snaps out of it because she realized, I don't remember how she snapped out of it. Something happens. Penny snapped out of it. I was covered in bullet holes at the time, you see. And then we fight this guy. He's there. And he looked like, well, I describe what he looks like. We fight him all throughout this house. And then I think Bowmin really fucked him up. We jumped out windows. And because he wasn't doing too well, then he left us alone.
That's more or less what happened.
Probably the narrative was correct. The descriptions were not.
Swiss cheese.
You said he had a vested interest in keeping Oikos in Ravenloft?
It seemed like it. I mean, he did not want me to reach it. Said that was a problem. So, I mean, that could be a lot of different things, but
He didn't want you to reach here. And your friend's acquaintance, the one who spoke to her while she was unconscious just now,
Lottie?
Lottie, okay. Lottie said that
okay.
the way to, if she combined her object with the power of putting the silver flame back in the hearth, would allow a mass teleportation thing to happen. So it seems to me that both you and Nyx are required for this, and this, I don't know that this guy knew about Nyx's artifact, but it seems like he did know that if the silver flame were to return to Oikos, it would be a problem for whatever he wants to do. If he is Minos, because I think that Minos did get us landed in Ravenloft for a reason. So if the caller is Minos, he wants Ravenloft. He wants this place to stay in.
Why?
I don't know. But I fear we may be dealing with something more powerful than my father.
Just spitballing. Is there a chance that this is something to do with the Great Lords of Dread? You know, the things that run.
The dark
The realm.
powers?
Yeah.
It's possible. But as far as I know, none of them have ever worn a face or taken a name. They are unknowable. They're an unknowable group of entities with an extreme amount of power. And beyond that of gods, even. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. This caller could be connected to them in some way. No one knows anything about the dark powers. No one even knows why the dark powers create the domains of dread. I mean, it seems like some form of sick punishment for the prisoner of each domain, but that's just speculation because no one knows what they want.
I don't know, but this place is a bit kooky, if you ask me. But is it possible that they're using the more realms in Ravenloft? Does it give them more power? And if we take a realm out of Ravenloft, would that remove power from one?
It's possible. I just don't know. I would like anybody who wants to go ahead and make an Arcana check. I will tell you the DC on this is going to be quite high.
How low can I?
I'm gonna roll. It's not gonna make it.
Mm-mm.
1.
Has an 8.
7.
1, 7, 8. No.
30, 20.
30, 20. What did you get?
11.
11. Artemis? 14.
17 plus 3.
No one really no one knows either. But you feel like you are circling the drain on a much larger picture. You feel like you've been playing checkers against Dagrin, against the Golden Flame this whole time. And all the while, there's been a game of chess being played. You don't know what the end result of that game is going to be. But you have this dreadful feeling that Minos and the caller and the dark powers are all somehow involved. And this might be a lot more than you signed up for. And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode. Thank you all so much for playing. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night, everybody.